Hey everyone, it's Libby from maighstirtarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Worimi First Nations people, the traditional custodians of the land on which these videos are made, and welcome to you, your guides, my guides, and the universal energies. Okay, just putting it out there that I may or may not be here tomorrow and or Monday. Not unexpectedly, my sister-in-law's partner has passed. He was in palliative care, and we will be going for a 6 hour each way plus stops drive with my father-in-law to go and spend some time with the family in that location. Okay, so entertainment only. What I want to have a look at, oh yes, we are all exhausted between that family energies, the global energies at the moment that are going through incredible shift, solar storms and Mercury retrograde. Oh my goodness, aren't we all absolutely strung out, eyeballs propped open with toothpicks? Okay, but what I want to have a look at, this is an Australian reading of all things, using my Gilded Tarot Royale. I'm going to have a look at Peter Dutton with the next Australian federal election. The federal election's not due till September 2025. Yet Mr. Potato Head, yes, we do call our opposition leader Mr. Potato Head, but that's okay. We call our actual Prime Minister Albo. His name is Anthony Albanese. He's Albo. The opposition's Mr. Potato Head. It's just an Aussie thing. If you have a look at Peter Dutton, if you Google his image, you'll see why we do. He's come out and he's doubling down. I believe he went to Israel a couple of weeks ago. I don't know whether he's still over in that neck of the woods. They're not welcome to keep him. But he was doubling down about rejecting Palestinian refugees. Apparently, since the invasion of Gaza started, Australia has issued 3,000 visas for Palestinian refugees, of which I believe about 1,400 have arrived in the country. Peter Dutton, he's the sort that's going, oh, Palestinians are terrorists, blah, 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 blah. He's just an evil, nasty piece of work. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about Peter Dutton. He's incredibly negative. He's just... If I say milder version of Stephen Miller, you'll get what I mean. He's just a real piece of work, but he does appeal to a certain element in Australia, goodness knows why. And he trots out various female members of his cabinet who, to be honest, I just call them men in skirts because that's the energy that they bring is the misogynistic energy. But because they're female, there is this perception that it's a softer energy. No, it's not. It's just vile, vile, vile. Okay, right. Setting my bias aside, let it out. Entertainment only. I want to have a look at how Peter Dutton's going to go in the next election, and the Liberal National Party as well. This is Peter Dutton's also very much about pushing nuclear energy onto Australia. However, our CSIRO, our top independent science and economic agency, has basically said, well, it'll be way more expensive than anything else and it's not viable and they won't be able to build them for at least another 15, 20 years. Waste of time, waste of money for what would be very expensive energy, yet Dutton is doubling down, claiming that we're the only Western country or first world country that doesn't have nuclear, and that's because we don't need it. We haven't had an abundance of coal and oil. We are very rapidly moving to renewable energy. We have a huge abundance of sunlight, daylight sunlight, and wind, and we do have hydro available. There's just the storage is the issue at the moment. We're actually producing enough. We just need to develop the storage. So anyhow, I want to have Peter Dutton. Well, there he is, Peter Dutton. Two cards that flipped out. Dutton, I think first of all, he's on the financial, he gets the financial support from the lobbyists, but I don't think it's going to work. It's going to get shaken out and exposed to the voters. and it's going to be an ending for him. So I don't think he's going to be successful. I wonder whether he's even going to be opposition leader by the time he actually gets to the election. But let's have a look. Let's have a look. Peter Dutton. Bias aside, let it out. Peter Dutton. Peter Dutton. He's the same guy that when he was, I think, I can't remember, immigration minister or something in the previous Liberal National Party government, opened our Christmas Island detention centre. It cost, I think it was about $12 million to put in it a family of to take a family out of the community that they were in. The two daughters, very young children, had been born in Australia, and the parents had been applying for visas, but they kept getting rejected. The family wanted to keep them. They wanted to stay. They were working in the community, much loved in the community, and he spent $12 million opening up this detention centre to put them into by themselves. And in the end, they ended up staying in Australia. So yeah, that's the sort of person he is. Walking away, Dutton, walking away and finding himself out in the cold. I'm really, really feeling his star is lost. I'm really feeling new energy, new opportunity, new messaging coming forward. I'm getting the feeling that he's starting to become on the nose with more and more Australians. And I don't even know that he'll be opposition leader by the election. We're looking at September 2025, so we're only looking at a year from now. Fortunately, we only have an 8-week official election cycle. Doesn't mean they can't bring out policy, but they can't actually campaign except for that and run advertising except for about 8 weeks. And even then, by the end of the 8 weeks, we've all had enough. But let's have a look. Peter Dutton as going into the next federal election. How's he going to go? Peter Dutton. Peter Dutton, Mr. Potato Head, the next federal election. The next federal election. If I sound very, Lena and I could do a whole series on Peter Dutton, but let's have a look. That's Peter Dutton, Mr. Potato Head, going into the next federal election. What do we need to know? What do we need to know? I mean, what on earth was he doing over in Israel in the first place? Right. Peter Dutton going into the next election. A judgment moment is coming for him. A collective awakening in regards to him, probably tooting his own horn, but it's almost like a wake-up call to people, to voters. Whether it's positive or not, let's see where it goes. His challenge is going to be trying to sell the message that he's putting out there. And it's a chaotic, burdensome message that he's going to be having an uphill slog with, because it's like the Conservatives in the US and the Tories in the UK. The world has moved on. He's flogging old ideas, old fears, and the world has moved on from that. So I think his challenge is he's going to find, first of all, the messaging he's trying to get out there is going to be quite chaotic and difficult to manage, and it's going to be a burdensome uphill slog for him. We've got the Page of Swords at the bottom here. Young energy, fresh energy, the youth bringing forward their truth. Could also be a whistleblower in the camp bringing forward some information about him. But I'm feeling it's more about the youthful energy. And they're over it. They know the truth. They know the reality. In the past, the seedy underbelly being brought to the surface, the lunacy of what he's trying to um, bring forward. What he's trying to bring forward is in the past, is what I'm really getting there. The fear, the othering, the whinging and protesting. It's old. It's old, and people have moved on from that. Right, crowning the reading, Peter Dutton for the next federal election. Uh, Smoke and mirrors, chaos, trying to sow confusion, but there will be an obvious choice. Immediate future, his movement forward being stalled. Externally, the young coming forward with new ideas, seeing new opportunities. Peter Dutton's still pushing coal, still pushing gas, but the youth see a different future. Just going to put it out there. The youth see a different future. Internally, it's all about this is my giving and receiving help, but getting money in. But we don't run our election cycles like the US. We don't need to build war chests and all the rest of it. I'm just seeing this is more about promises that he's going to make internally, promises that he's making, but also pandering to the wealthy coal and gas lobbyists. Okay, hopes and fears, exposing the snake in the path, him being exposed. The outcome, we've got the mercenary being stopped, shaken out, the money revealed, and an ending for him. Being forced to retreat as this full illumination, a new beginning as there is an end to the oligarchical influence, despair, heartbreak, loss, a lot of messaging coming forward very quickly, packing up the truth and moving on, that he's going to find himself lost as the rise of the feminine and the decreasing of this misogynistic masculine, rise of the feminine, and I feel there may be a new opposition leader that comes forward, and it may be a woman. Now, that does not mean a good thing because we're talking about the likes of Susan Lees and Michaelia Cash and whoever else is there. There may be a new opposition leader. He may be forced to move on. Show me, will Peter Dutton, just a couple of times, will Peter Dutton be the opposition leader going into the next election? Will Peter Dutton be the opposition leader going into the next election? Peter Dutton. He wasn't the first choice. It's just was it Frydenberg or whatever his name was, who was the choice to step up into the leadership position, was voted out last federal election, so they sort of had to scrabble around for the next best. They lost quite a number of their top key ministers. Let's have a look. Jamie, will Peter Dutton even be? Will he be opposition leader with the next election? Right, King of Swords. There's a truth coming, a truth being drawn, a wisdom, a plan, a strategy being organised. There's some slyness going on here. Slyness, betrayal, lying, stalled, or perhaps he's being moved on as this new energy coming forward, a new opportunity, burdensome message. contracts and agreements. An agreement. It's almost like a passing of the baton here. We've got the opposition leader position, a cleansing of the current sitting tower moment. There's a truth coming that he's going to have to defend himself, a crossroads moment, and dark night of the soul. A lot of anxiety. I'm feeling, okay, it's too soon to call, but I'm feeling he may very well not be the opposition leader by the time they get to the next election, because they're going to have to do a lot of soul searching because the message that he's pushing is not landing. Okay, I might leave it like that. We'll have a look closer to the election. It's just something that piqued my interest in regards to, I would not be surprised if he's been receiving some sort of kickback from Netanyahu. He was over in Israel not terribly long ago, and then he comes back, trying to block asylum seekers, refugees from Palestinian from entering Australia. Like, it's a nasty piece of work. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. I shall talk to you shortly. Catch you later.